Psalm 127:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is their picks are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. For the services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title 4 says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title 4 funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I'm your host, the CPS Punisher, and it is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, right? Wednesday night. Yes, Wednesday night. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff that we have. I'm without a mouse at the moment, so it's very difficult to use my fingers and make this stuff work. I'm not used to that, so bear with me here. Thing moves around and does things that other shit didn't do before. But we got quite a show lined up for us tonight. We got a bunch of people in here ready to talk and shoot the breeze. If you have any questions or comments, please use the chat. Right here. Right over there. There it is. So let's bring everybody out. Let's see. We got Carrie in here with us. We got Vinny in here with us. We got Danielle, and we got a special guest backstage. And we're gonna hold off a second here for.
Hello.
Gentlemen, horses, and cows. What's going on?
What's up? Hey,
up, guys?
hey, what's up?
How's things going? Vinny, are you getting blown up there with weather or what? We're getting
Oh yeah, man. It's raining like a motherfucker here.
Yeah. You're getting slammed here. It's crazy.
We had,
Not the rest of you. How's the weather in the world where you are?
we got, yeah, it got cold here today. It's not cool. It was warm, but it's not now. And we got a bunch of rain yesterday. It was not. It was bad. We got bad storms, and
We guys
people
can keep all your stories.
oh, and we also got people that don't know how to drive either. So apparently they had to knock out the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear the wind outside pounding and stuff.
Listen.
What's up, Cricket? What's up, Debbie? What's up, Chris?
Hey everyone. So
Carrie, check that message.
Yeah, yep, I already sent it to her.
No, check yours.
Oh,
The private
gotcha.
chat.
All right.
Yeah, Carrie introduced me.
what'd you say?
Vinny, what you got? You got anything good?
What'd you say, Vinny?
Carrie should introduce her.
Yes.
Well, I'm waiting for. I'm gonna wait for Carrie to make that.
I don't see
push
nothing
here.
in the private chat. I didn't read that. Go ahead. Do you do it?
Do you?
No, I don't think
I don't want to
Darren
stay
is.
that wide open.
Is
What?
You know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna share
Florida
this
Mom's
video.
the one that's in the chat.
Quick little video here. This is from Danielle. We found this earlier. This is a great video on stats and everything. What's going on with CPS? This is just for you guys to see a little bit of info. Let's see here.
I think I sent it twice. Oops.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
You want me to
Yeah,
bring
right.
it up, Brian?
Of parents not having enough food, of not having clothes for their children. I was expecting those stories of abuse and abandonment, and instead what I saw were situations rooted in conditions of poverty.
As hard as it was to hear about families struggling with
Listen to what he
poverty,
asked.
part of me still wondered why separation wasn't a practical option for these situations. So I had to ask. If a child isn't getting what they need from their parents, why isn't it better for them to go into foster care for a little while those parents, recuperate?
When you look at child outcomes of children who enter foster care versus children who stay home, just on every single metric, it's materially worse. What every single expert said is that children fundamentally do better when they're with their parents, when they're with their siblings, when they're with their aunts and uncles, and rooted in the community of parents not having enough food, of not having clothes for their children. I was expecting those stories of abuse and abandonment, and instead what I saw were situations rooted in conditions of poverty.
As hard as it was to hear about families struggling with poverty, part of me still wondered why separation wasn't a practical option for these situations. So I had to ask. If a child isn't getting what they need from their parents, why isn't it better for them to go into foster care for a little while those parents, recuperate?
When you look at child outcomes of children who enter foster care versus children who stay home, just on every single metric, it's materially worse. What every single expert said is that children fundamentally do better when they're with their parents, when they're with their siblings, when they're with their aunts and uncles, and rooted in the community of parents not having enough food, of not having clothes for their children. I was expecting those stories of abuse and abandonment, and instead what I saw were situations rooted in conditions of poverty.
As hard as it was to hear about families struggling with poverty, part of me still wondered why separation wasn't a practical option for these situations. So I had to ask. If a child isn't getting what they need from their parents, why isn't it better for them to go into foster care for a little while those parents, recuperate?
When you look at child outcomes of children who enter foster care versus children who stay home, just on every single metric, it's materially worse. What every single expert said is that children fundamentally do better when they're with their parents, when they're with their siblings, when they're with their aunts and uncles, and rooted in the community of parents not having enough food, of not having clothes for their children. I was expecting those stories of abuse and abandonment, and instead what I saw were situations rooted in conditions of poverty.
It's dang. It's okay. It was. I can see.
That's like a longer. There's a longer.
Yes,
whole longer
it is a
premise,
16
right?
minute. It is a 16 to 19 minute video. I could send you the whole video. That was just something that I was when I wrote the statistics down about poverty. That's the part that stood out to me the most in that video. But I will send you the whole video right now. Right, exactly, but 70%, 76% of all these cases are they're neglect, which is a broad definition of neglect, and it all pertains to poverty. Whether or not, like you said, no clothes, no food, just minor things and stuff that is not nowhere near abuse or abandonment.
You guys want me to bring Jennifer out?
Do what?
No, it's never. Don't worry. Keep going.
Oh, so the numbers, they say that a lot of the cases are based on poverty, and then that's what it's not abuse, it's not abandonment, it's poverty, and it's minor things like that guy right there. He was surprised, and you got to think this is nationwide. This is going on everywhere, and why if they're not poverty is not a reason, and it's not. It's not imminent danger. It's not. There's no reason for no caseworker to take any child from any home based on poverty, because apparently, in my eyes, if a family's living paycheck to paycheck and they're living fine, as long as those kids got food in their belly and they're clothed, hey, and the family's happy.
No matter what type of food it is,
right?
As long as they have.
Right, and and why break up a happy home? That's what I don't get. That's. Why do that? Why traumatize these when they were fine? They were perfectly fine. One happy family that is just because they don't have a lot of money, but you know what? Those parents are doing it. They're making it happen whatever way. Then those kids are safe. Right. So what? And under the neglect, it's so broad. What are they defining as neglect? That's the big question here. Like, neglect is 76% of these cases is neglect, and it's under poverty. But what are they saying that is causing the removal? Because I'm sorry, poverty is not neglect, and neglect is on the child welfare manual across the U.S. It's a broad, like a very big definition. And so what do y'all think on that, guy? Like Carrie and Vinny and Darren, what do y'all think?
I think it's a lame-ass excuse to take a kid. I think it's a lame-ass excuse to take a kid.
But and they don't define neglect as like one. It's a broad, and it even says that it's a broad, like it's a broad spectrum, and it's crazy. Just because the kid may not have like nice clothes, but at least he's clothed and not in rags. Right. Look, I was happy with jeans and a t-shirt. Like, what? Because we went out and I was a tomboy. Like, when I played rough outside. I had two younger brothers. Come on, I had to be big sis, so, we always came home dirty, but we were happy. Like, we were okay, So, it's crazy that a lot of these families they're losing their kids are being taken from them because of poverty, and it could be 5 years down the road, it could be a year down the just because of poverty. Like, ain't that a majority of America? Like, I know yes. but I'm happy. I would be happy. I'm paycheck. Let's do it. That's my happy time. I'm okay with that.
Do we want?
These people.
Do we want to bring out our guest? Because she's in the back room waiting.
Do what? Who?
Yep.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
And then they're saying these
Bring her out.
kids stay in foster care 2 years if they're removed automatically, and that's. I've never hadn't heard of anyone dealing with anything less than 2 years. Mine's at 2 years.
Right. Hi.
This is just after. So
Can we?
if they have poverty guidelines, then there needs to be something that assesses the amount of poverty that they have.
Right.
By that I mean this: are you having this amount of income? What income level is addressed for this? I'm not even saying that poverty should be a reason.
It's
for
not.
any of this,
It shouldn't
but
be.
if there is a reason to have poverty that level, then how much is it, and what is it for?
And right, and why aren't
Listen,
they?
they can set a poverty. Wait, Daniel. They can set
Okay.
a poverty line for what qualifies you for food stamps, what qualifies you for
Right.
assistance,
Right.
what qualifies you for whatever.
Like you
So
gotta
they
meet
can
a
set poverty
certain.
lines for that, they can set it for what neglect is.
Right. And but
Or it's
that.
all the same place, all the same agency,
Right.
department, whatever the hell.
That's you are right. But and
There's no reason to pop out of poverty in a quick windfall. Something could happen. A family member could donate you some money. A family member could die.
but there's
You know,
so
like,
much
there's
all this
happen.
funding out there, these grants and this funding that's supposed to be to provide for these families that are maybe struggling. This money is supposed to provide them the services, the resources to build the families back up to where they can take care. That is what it's supposed to be like, but I can't tell. Like, I mean, they must be buying their Gucci purses or something. Because what?
Hey guys,
I mean,
so, Jen,
hi.
welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for coming. Can you hear us now? Do you hear us now, Jen?
Can you hear us, Jen?
Sure.
She might.
There, Gunner. Pull Gunner in.
Oh wow, we got a full house.
Says you were muffled.
Can she?
You want to give us a sound check on you, Jen? See how you're sounding?
I think she's got to fix her
One
mic.
way or how that works.
She might be trying to
I think she's trying to fix.
Yeah. Unmute.
Is anybody else out there in the? Put it up in the chat. Are you having a sound problem with us?
Can y'all hear us?
I know Danielle was crackling like a mofo.
Yeah.
I know. I just sent her a message on Facebook telling her that.
Did I sound like? Is it better now or no?
A little
bit.
I think it's like.
When you lean away
Yes,
from
yes,
the
we can hear you
computer,
now.
you get quieter and it crackles.
Hi guys.
Is that better?
Oh, there's
Hey,
Jen.
Danielle.
Welcome, Jen.
Jen,
I
go
know,
ahead.
audio trouble. I can barely hear you guys because it's like a whisper or muffled.
Really?
Okay, we can hear you though. You're coming through loud.
Oh,
and
yeah,
clear,
yeah.
so
I don't
that's
know
all
if
that
it's my phone or you guys's.
matters. Oh, yeah.
No, it does that on a cell phone, Jen.
Yeah.
How about that? Is that
But,
better? You hear me better now?
It's
Oh,
still muffled.
yeah,
I
it
wonder
must be something on your.
if I have to restart my phone, maybe, before I jump
Yeah,
back
maybe
in.
try that. Come back in. Yeah, maybe let's try that. Because I know that everybody else with you on the chatters Jen, they can
Let me
hear
see
us.
if I can restart my phone and jump right back in.
Okay.
All right, Jen, I'll be back.
All right. Well, we got Gunner out here waiting for us. Coming in, knocking on the door. Gunner,
Hey, Gunner.
how we doing, buddy?
Who we gotta piss off tonight?
Everybody.
Let's take a guarantee. Someone will be pissed.
Listen,
at us.
I'm already banned everywhere and all this other stuff. I'm getting hush treatment.
Gunner,
And
if you get us banned, we're gonna have problems. You're gonna piss me off.
listen, they can do it about individuals, but free speech platforms and stuff like that, they would technically have to go after Darren because we're considered guests. We're hosts.
That's
here.
true.
I
That's
am the
true.
one that gets the shit on here.
Yeah. Once again,
Wait,
that's
So we're not gonna let that happen.
Guest.
We'll let the shit roll off onto us.
Right. Right.
it was just, here's the thing. We come to find out that CPS certain CPS are getting wind of everything. We're making national impact, and people are hearing our story and the facts, and they're actually going to some of these corrupt judges that they're in bed with, basically financially, and actually doing bans to where they're sending these court orders into TikTok and several others to ban people. These are, once again, that's your arbitrator right there is TikTok, and they get a complaint or anything else. They just have to, they're going to abide because of certain things are under scrutiny already. So, they're just going to play it safe with things. But Benny's over here, with the same thing with Darren and stuff. They're just over here to, like the rest of us. We don't care. Welcome to America. Here's our First Amendment. It's called freedom of speech. If you don't like it, change the channel or turn it off. That's what the part of America in our Constitution says. If you don't like it, walk away. But that doesn't restrict my right to actually speak it. I'm not causing any physical bodily harm or harm to property. Therefore, there is no case because your feelings cannot be brought into a courtroom. The Constitution forbids that. Matter of fact, it even says your judges aren't even supposed to have a motion or anything with that. They're just supposed to rule off of what the law is. Here's the set of rules. This is what you have to go by, and that's all you're supposed to rule on. Don't matter if they're making faces. They got polka dots. They look like they haven't showered in 3 days. They're over there making faces with ticks. And once again, the other thing that they don't ask with some of this stuff, too, is your ADA. What if I have a condition like Tourette's or something, and I'm sitting here in the middle of the course and just turn around, fuck, motherfucker, ass fucker, goat fucker. I mean, Tourette's here, man. I mean, it's Tourette's. There's a medical condition, but that's why there's laws to protect that stuff of saying, no, this is a medical condition. It's been diagnosed. Here it is, and you cannot discriminate. And that goes no different than what color you are, whether you have a broken leg, whether you support the opposite team in your state. If you're in the middle of Alabama and somebody else cheers for another football team, that you're now going to discriminate. Well, if something's wrong with you because that's called a bias, and that doesn't belong in our courtrooms.
Nope, it cannot be bias. But if
you go around and just make a comment, this is what we're trying to tell people too. When you're involved with CPS and everything else, you need to shift instead of modes of panic and everything else. You need to automatically assume, because the first encounter is at your home, it's Fourth Amendment protected. After that, you should be collecting evidence to go against them in a federal case, because nothing they do is legal or constitutional, unless directed by a court. So they're acting of their own accord when they're operating outside the actual jurisdiction of what they're allowed to actually supposed to do. The whole design under the federal guidelines was they were considered, when that was written in 1935, to be servants of the court, or what they were known as before as friends of the court. Basically, they facilitated some things, and now they have weaponized this particular thing because there was a way to make money, but you're making it off of destroying families and stealing children. There's where our problem is. All these things. Here's the other part of the Constitution that we need to get across to people that even work for CPS or anything else. I'm glad you have your opinions, but my constitutional rights trump all of that. And yes, I said the word Trump. So if y'all hate that, that's your own feelings. Once again, people are so sensitive these days. I had somebody go off because I use that word. So the point is that neither politically either way are here, but the constitutions are ultimate agreed upon contract with everybody that lives here and was born here. We agree that we're going to live by these certain set of rules, and these will not be compromised. The constitutions are the ones you don't cross. They're very severe when you cross them. The problem is we're getting so used and soft to people violating those rights constantly, or even states lying to you. And I'm going to use that word lie because they printed the fact that they have the right to violate your constitutional rights. And they're going to argue back and forth. Well, guess what? We're going to take it to court. That's exactly what we're getting ready to do. And we're going to challenge every bit of it on a federal level, whether or not you are actually doing this. And we're going to let our judicial branch of government decide whether or not you're breaking the law, let alone the Constitution. That would tear down everything is all of it of saying you're operating unconstitutionally. You can't operate because the very essence of your nature, it may say this on paper, but your actions have consequences. And your actions are you're violating people's constitutional rights. There is no crime here. And the part of it is not respecting the Constitution in whole, let alone even knowing it, of saying, I still have to live next door to that person or anything else, whether we believe the same way they do or not. That's part of being a melting pot in this country. We're not dividing over religion. We're not dividing over that. We're fighting now over psychology.
Right.
Whether one person's belief system is stronger than the other. Well, under the Constitution, that's called discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do it under the First Amendment because when you see the word religion defined by Black's Law Dictionary is a set of belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, things that you truly and poorly believe.
Right.
So what if you believe, I don't believe in all this other stuff and just the Constitution because it is the supreme law of the land. It's already declared itself. And you signed contract as a state, every state, all 50, that you would abide by those. Then why are you making money violating people's constitutional rights, let alone stealing their children?
Right. And
if you don't think we're not going to prove it in a court of law, guess what? It's coming.
Right.
And you're all going to know about it because it's going to be national headline because the dollar amount goes with it.
I mean,
will be the largest recorded.
I don't see how they can just walk
American history.
Walk around and think that they are going to get away with it. That's, I mean, and not be, I mean, these are our kids they're picking on, you know, our families. Like, no, we don't.
Listen, they had a choice when they wrote these laws, these policies and procedures.
Right, true.
They had to make an active choice.
If they want
to disregard the Constitution, let alone
that's
to make
their
that
choice.
Active policy and procedure.
So they put themselves
that should have never, ever happened.
That's correct.
Never.
That's right.
But now it's causing the effect, whether you know it or not, you're now going to be held accountable here real soon. Especially if they're very clear with this current administration coming in.
Right.
This stuff stops now.
Right. And they some of them are starting to you see some things happening, but I mean it's still very little. But yes, because there's some realizing that we might need to, but it's too. They're going to be brought to light. Like it's wrong what they can't. This has been going on way too long, and this is not.
Well, Danielle, I'll tell you as well as all of our audience out there. It's already been seen. The evidence that we have that we've shared with people has been shared with the current incoming administration. They are fully aware of what's going on, and we are in contact with them.
Oh, yeah.
So they fully know what's going on enough to where we've had a hands-off order on us. Don't interact with me personally or anything else because they know this case is in the process of being formed. The FBI is aware of our particular case and everything else. The current administration coming in, we're in contact with them to turn over our evidence. We're not the only ones screaming. When the Allie Carter case broke national news, that CPS was supplying kids to Hollywood, the music industry and everything else. And they wondered where they come from. Well, here's the other question they didn't ask that I did a little bit of digging. Those kids that were trafficked over in California to those Diddy parties, they weren't all from California.
Nope, they were from
all 50 states.
Yep. And
that means your state has taken a child from a family to ship them to California. I bet you there's a lot of people I'm hearing nowadays. My kid got shipped out of state.
My kid's right out. Like there's a lot.
Jurisdiction now?
Look, I'm just gonna say my son's been involved in some. I'm not gonna put it out there, but until So if y'all know where I'm going with that, there's a lot. Yeah.
Are you guys hogging the platform now? We got to let Jen talk.
Oh,
she's back.
All right, she's back. Perfect. All right, can you hear us better?
Sorry, guys. You guys got your own shows.
I see how.
There's so much to talk about, and I love interacting with everybody, but a lot of it it's very repetitious, but it's a lot of things we don't think of. It's the little details that are the criminal acts that our minds need to have a shift when we're talking to people of. Don't be scared. Don't think you're going to survive any of this. Understand, this is a thing when you encounter these people, you don't survive without being damaged. Your family will always never be untouched. And that's
the best part is all the different perspectives of it.
Yeah. Right. And you're seeing multifacets of how they do it and the things they do and the way that they've coerced, the way that they've done this. Every story is different. But the point is, it still leads back to the same thing. Even when we're getting people to write this stuff in, they get so involved in your case. It's like, no, keep it within the lanes and keep it about your constitutional rights. That's why you're getting kicked out of federal court because you bring the family court thing in and then Rooker versus Feldman comes in and they go, nope, this is the state case and the family case, throw it out. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about constitutional rights. If they bring family law up, that's on them. That's how you get around this. That's what we're steering people. But when they're putting this in, the first thing that they're doing is just that. So that's a lot of reason why. But I think we lost her again. She faded in and out.
Nope,
she
nope.
backstage,
So let's get
Miss
Jen's
Jennifer?
story out.
She dropped on my screen.
Oh yeah, her team was disappeared.
Oh,
But no, we are
is it
working
Jen
on
or Jennifer? Oh, she's still there.
Yep.
She's backstage or something. It went small on my screen. I don't
I'm
see
still
it.
here. I barely can hear
Okay.
you guys, and I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, it's the video's off. Okay.
That's all right, Jen.
We can hear you loud.
Your story.
Yeah, we can hear you
Go ahead.
loud.
I can hear you. So that's good.
Definitely.
I mean, if you want to go ahead and just start telling your story, then knock yourself out.
We will shut up.
And then we can follow up with some questions and so on right there.
Did
We lose her completely?
I just put it in the back room for her and told her to tell her story.
Like I said, there's been a lot of storms and everything else going on. So we're getting a lot of people that's having a lot of interference with technical difficulties. Even talking with Vinny earlier today, there was some issues. So there's a lot of stuff going on. If you guys, am I the only one, or
no? Even Facebook was
going down on your internet and stuff too. Like you're getting more to that, and I'm going to use this dirty word, more like dial-up. Like you're getting the thinking button going for a long time. I'm waiting for AOL to make its comeback.
Yeah,
here lately.
I know Facebook.
AOL, gosh, I haven't heard that word. I don't know how long.
We might get a quicker connection with Facebook than anything nowadays. Like,
wow.
Oh no, that's what they're pushing for. That's what they want to shut TikTok down.
Oh wow.
To the Facebook that actually has been confirmed of being monitored by the CIA. You realize because you put that all up on Facebook,
it's the easiest way in the world to monitor us.
That's why they wanted everybody. They wanted fiber, like the fiber optic ran everywhere for the fast connection. But it's because it's easier to get into, and it's the government over here paid AT&T a lot of money to. I know here they did, and to just run all fiber. But I think I still on the copper, the old wire, and it's a slow connection, but it's safe. Like that's, I have to worry about the security. Like yes.
Until you start working on firewalls and your own VPNs and some of the other computer things that they can.
And
to do that's why there's a difference between an internet and an intranet. If you understand some IT.
Yes.
An intranet just means that it's secure, it's safe, nobody can get into it. It's found just here in this location.
Exactly.
There are government facilities that are just ultra high security. They don't run it all the time. At certain times during the day, at sporadic times of the day, it will do an upload to secure servers in other places. Basements of nuclear facility. There's all sorts of things where these things are found. Which we're becoming, once again, you'll notice everything, people. I'm that old to understand a computer used to be as big as a refrigerator, if not bigger. That is now you're holding it in the palm of your hand or literally wearing it on your wrist. We have come a long way in a short period of time, and we are trying to adapt even our laws. Our incoming administration has said that they are going to address this with some sort of shadowing the constitutional rights over this new methodology of communication, whether it's not. Usually if you had to have a wiretap, if you wanted to listen in on a phone, you had to get a warrant and everything else for that. They're basically saying that's the same thing that should basically happen over the internet when it comes to law enforcement or anything with government. We need to really watch our own privacy, as a lot of it that we put out there is what the world sees. Is you're only seeing a part of me. What you see on us here is just a show. It's an aspect of our lives, but it's not the whole person. We have to come to some real understanding of that. We look at people here through this little screen and turn around and think we have an idea of what they're going through, or the world they live in, or the circumstances that they're dealing with, or their struggles, or anything else. You share a brief window in time with somebody of This is what's going on in my life, but it's not all of who defines me and what I am. If you think CPS is all I've got, you're sadly mistaken. You know,
We're a lot funnier behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, you're not seeing what all makes up the person.
Right.
And we're so judged so fastly on one aspect, rather on one perspective, which is what CPS is actually doing to you guys, is they're going with their perspective going forward, but without any firsthand experience. There's the biggest thing. Why are you dragging me into court when you're not in my home? When you're not seeing what I'm going through, and understand my struggles are my struggles, and every family goes through them. But you realize
every family, even that judge's family, that lawyer's family, that CPS workers' family, all of them. But they got to be reminded of that. They need to be reminded
CPS
about
workers
that.
don't have families, which is the biggest problem we have. Is they're targeting a certain group of 20 and 30-year-olds that do not have families at all, that are going after other people to tell them this is the standard that the U.S. has for their children of this and that, and that's bullshit. That's a violation of your First Amendment right by every aspect. Why? Because as soon as they take your kid away from that, does your kid get the same, we'll say, religion-based? Is it? I mean, do you not go to church and then somebody else takes them to an extremely right-wing or left-wing type of religious organization for it? Well, yes, according to that.
I feel like that happens with every case. I feel that intentionally happens every case.
Because you know why?
Yes.
Because every major religion out there has got a foster home in place with their, and it is a nonprofit organization for every religious organization out there. You don't believe me? If you're a Baptist, the Baptists have their own foster homes across the country.
Yes, they do.
The Catholics,
they do.
the Presbyterians, they all profit from this. This goes in to make their religion survive because they realized that people weren't supporting their religions anymore and they couldn't afford it. So the big organizations, which now it's a business, church is a business, especially in America, it's not local, it's connected all across the United States. They're organized just like a major corporation in business, and they have rules and regulations for all the ones that want to be part of their association, if you want. See, you pull back the curtain. These are the
Gunnar, last night we had a question about abolishing. Do you abolish or restructure it? What's your opinion?
Right.
Gunnar?
Abolish.
That was our question last night on the show. Yes, Herbert. Herbert's
here. Here's why. Under the Constitution, unless I have already, not preventatively, which is what they're going after, is preventive. Well, nothing's happened now, but we think it's going to happen. Err on the side of caution, you'll hear a lot. Okay? A lot of people have heard that. We're going to err on the side of caution. That means you're making a bad decision from the get-go that's illegal. We're going to err. In other words, you're admitting that you're going to err or do something illegal just to be cautious. That's not constitutional. It's not. Unless I've committed a crime and I have injured a person or property under the Constitution, you have no right to drag me in there other than a contract, which the only thing that states are allowed to take and deal with is not law. They deal with codes and statutes. They don't even deal with law. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, we don't have jurisdiction. Why? Complain about your constitutional rights. We don't deal with that in this courtroom. Or they do the illegal thing and they move on. Now let's point this out so you guys understand this. Or the judge does something illegal and moves on and oversees the fact that he doesn't have jurisdiction. And because a jurisdictional issue has come up, the judge must surrender that post and also recommend to the court, there are issues in this case that I don't have jurisdiction over, therefore we need to have a change of jurisdiction to ask the federal questions, and then if they don't decide to take over the case, they'll kick it back down and answer those federal questions. That's what's called a change of jurisdiction, which must happen in every single one of your cases. Now, they're not doing it for you, which they should be, because of their oath under the Constitution. Now you have to verbally make it done, and you do not need the state's permission to file that paperwork for a change. And Tiff said the website on the last show. That is,
so you do that as a
motion. You're doing a change of jurisdiction motion, and you're going to file it at the same time you do with the federal court. And you're going to give the reasoning behind it, because there are federal issues that this court does not have the jurisdiction to answer constitutional questions.
Right.
And if that lower court assumes that responsibility, That is an act of violence and war against the Constitution itself, and that is a jailable, if not punishable, by death.
So if they
by the law, under the law, that's what it says, either by jail or death.
Right.
That judge has ruled in that way to violate the Constitution and their very oath. That's an offense that we should bring back. Do you want a death penalty? Let's start killing people. Let's start taking and executing people under the law for violating the Constitution.
Right.
Let's go to that, and we'll see how things
you're
fare out.
saying to use it as with that wording too.
You got to use that wording. Words have power.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah.
Vinny found that out, and it's perspective. Now listen, I've talked with Vinny a little bit on his case, and his case went from I'm defending myself instead of actually doing their job, which was a full investigation, to bring into the court of saying, now we have a whole different situation because of this, which you ignored. You didn't follow down that lead or anything else because it didn't fit your perspective, rather than following the evidence where it goes. That didn't happen, nor does it happen in any of your cases, which is why they have the kids. Why? Because they're lazy. And they're counting on being lazy, just the fact they're counting on you being lazy and not knowing your rights.
They learned that differently with me.
When you know your rights,
I'm definitely using.
What happens,
using that gun.
Tell us what happens. Vinny, let's get Vinny of this because he needs to have a voice on this. What happens when you know your rights and you walk into a courtroom and you pull out the bullshit and go, nope, I know better and I'm educated now and I got you by the short curlies. Tell him, Vinny.
They silence you like they have me.
Yeah. You can't talk about the specifics of the case, but let me tell you something. It changed the perspective of the whole case to where all of a sudden they got a big problem to where technically CPS was covering up a crime. Matter of fact, part of the evidence I believe some of the evidence where they're saying is not admissible, that they're withholding it because of the fact that that evidence is a crime itself. And they looked over it.
Yep.
Now everything changed because you did their job.
Two people looked over at that.
Good. Yeah, even to get, we'll say, presiding somebody to raise an eyebrow and go, oh, wait a minute. See, they're not all bad. They're catching on to stuff, but it's what's presented to the judge. The judge is supposed to be a neutral party, and it's on them. The burden of proof is on the state to prove those things. But once again, if the loophole's so low, which is why they play around in civil court, not criminal court, because the bar's so low, because they get away with lying, cheating, and not even doing evidentiary findings. It's a feelings court. That's why it should be abolished.
Here's the
and it's not the parents' feelings that matter. It's definitely not the parents' feelings.
Here's the twist on it all.
No.
Because anything that happens in the criminal side affects the CPS side. Whatever happens in the CPS side affects the criminal side. So one affects the other and back and forth.
Right.
So that's where they get you.
This is why this is the failure of our public education system. Because they're supposed to prepare you, paid with federal money, to educate you to be an individual and know the Constitution and how it works. But you know what they don't do? And let me show you why this serves more than one master, and which master takes and wins. Because public school systems, if you're working, no matter what state you're in, at a certain age, you can get a work permit to go to work early. Why are you being introduced into the labor force before a certain age?
Okay, Florida mom. That's
okay, Jennifer.
Jennifer, that's Jennifer.
It's all good, girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ain't that, is that the same person?
So
that's Jennifer?
Yeah, we're
on again tomorrow night. We're on again tomorrow night, or you can try even on Saturday night when I host my show from 7:30 to 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as me doing a show, yes, I'm popping in out here because my life is so chaotic with some of these shows. So you
She
guys
can come
know
on
I get
the
on
6 o'clock show if she wants to.
Yeah.
Friday.
Yep.
No, Daniel. Daniel, we got somebody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry.
So I bounced around a couple of different shows in this because one, my son.
Speaking of that, while we got Herbert here. Herbert, are you right there?
What?
Yes, Herbert is here.
Hey, Herbert.
Okay, you got to see about getting Fowler to come on Saturday as well.
I'll ask her.
Miss Fowler.
Okay.
And that's at 7:30?
Yeah, 7:30.
Okay.
Gunner, we didn't mean you had to go away.
No. Right.
We like
I'm
you.
gonna pick
Like
up.
you
I
being on
don't.
the show.
Here's your first fucking problem because I don't care.
We didn't mean you to go away, Gunner. Just saying.
Welcome to my right to walk away when I want to for any fucking reason I want to.
I just had
Welcome
to too. I
America.
get it. I totally
Welcome
get
to my Constitution.
Look,
That's right. Way to use your rights. Way to use them. I like it.
It's like, bye. No, I'm just kidding. Look. Disappear. Go.
If you don't use, if you don't use them, you lose them, right?
The babathroom teacher. That's what that's
supposed to. No, you don't even know what he's using.
Oh, wait a minute. I need a minute. Can I get a pass?
Hey.
No, I gotta use
No
the
hall
damn gun.
passes. No hall passes allowed.
That is the biggest control
You guys,
method
see how good it is to laugh
socialism I have
sometimes?
ever seen is
I
to
don't
get a
choke.
hall pass for using the bathroom for a bodily function.
Right.
Do you know
right.
how much damage that does to a body when done for long periods of time?
Yes,
You've got
being a mom,
girls
yes, I do. I know
and
exactly.
boys who will hold it all day because they just didn't have time because they wouldn't give them a bathroom break and they weren't going because the teacher had shamed them to go to the bathroom to get a hall pass. And you're telling me my kids are safe? When I could homeschool them and they know where the damn bathroom is, they use it all the damn time when they come home.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to lift their hand. You got to go and be like, excuse me, I'll be right back. I got to
So
go
tell
to
me,
the bathroom.
My son has to ask to use the bathroom, and they have to
So
unlock
what
the
happens
door.
when they just pee right there in the classroom because they didn't get a chance to go to the bathroom?
Look,
They weren't
my-
allowed to.
Yeah.
And they
My
get in trouble
son-
for that.
Well, where he's
Mine
at,
did.
where my son's at, he has to ask, and they don't get in no hurry. And my son has had to. I'll put it out there. He's had to defecate in an empty room because they would not open the door for him. And then they want to get him in trouble. Like that's what they do. I mean, it's crazy what they do to these kids. Like they should let them have access to go to the restroom. I mean,
Right.
like especially
You have that in jail. Even in jail, you got your
right.
bathroom right there
Well,
in your room.
and there's supposed to be
You know, at least.
bathrooms right there, like in between the rooms. And why?
Wait a minute. Do you hear what everybody's talking about here? This is a form of mental conditioning and psychological warfare
Mhm.
that they're doing to children.
Exactly. In
Children.
these.
And this is okay with people.
No.
No. Not okay with us.
Like that's what
Definitely not
on
okay with us.
On my show, like when my son comes home, we're gonna like keep like I'm gonna keep everybody up with his progress, like how and because he's autistic and he's verbal, but I'm gonna see how he adapts to being back, and I'm gonna keep everyone, like let everyone know, and because he'll want me to share it with everyone, that he's okay with me sharing everything. He said make him famous, so let's run it. That's what he said.
So while you mean as a parent, you have a special needs child that turns around and that you're adapting to learn the way that he needs to learn to where he's being productive, absorbing the energy in his own unique, special way.
And
it's not a cookie cutter or anything else, but the government's going to come in and say you're doing it wrong and say, how many kids do you have, motherfucker, that are like this that you're with 24 hours a day?
Right. And
the government's going to come in and tell me how to do my kids, let alone somebody showing up from CPS that hadn't even had a baby, and sometimes you question whether or not they've even had their first sexual experience.
Right. And they the things that, like, where my son's at, he's in a residential treatment, like out there in Texas, and the things that they make it out to be, like something like, for instance, my grandma passed away, and that was his best friend, and so he says that his higher power and my nanny talked to him, and he prays with them, but and she watched, and she's hearing his heart with him, and they said they made it out to be something totally different. Like I'm like,
perspective,
like you said,
Danielle.
yeah, and when I read the IEP, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, something that is special to him, they want to make it out to be something totally out of this world. Like, what? I mean,
the politically correct and the proper terminology for that is a spin doctor.
Yep. And it's just, and then like the schools that they have on campus there. I mean, that's the biggest worry with I mean, I'm not worried. I know he's gonna do fine, but like he's been going to a school at the facility. He don't interact with like the outside world. You get what I'm saying? Like they go on van rides. Yeah, go ahead.
What if I were to tell you that the cause of something like that, autism and some of those different things, were based off of the foods you were eating?
Yep.
And that your government approved to put on your table that was slowly poisoning you and your family even before you had children?
Oh yeah.
That affected the birth defects. So who's the one held responsible? You are?
Right.
No. That'd be the other people. Hello, Cricket.
Because my son, he was fine. Like he was, I can't. Yeah. He was fine. He was about like up to par with everything until he was 3, and then like I said, he went to bed, we laid him down, and woke up the next day in the morning, and it was like he had regressed. Like he went back to straight baby mode. Like he went potty trained, nothing anymore. Like he couldn't talk, and still to this day, they can't tell me nothing about what caused that.
Well, of course not. They're not going to tell you. You got to understand. That's what we're kind of getting at, especially with big pharma and the GMOs and the foods, the things that are coming out. The truth is they've been poisoning us, and these are the side effects of all of it. And yet a doctor can't diagnose the fact why, because that would be an open room to cause a lawsuit.
True.
Well, who's paying them lobby monies to hide those truth of those dyes and fillers and everything else?
Like the red dye, the yellow dye.
That's not lobbying these government officials not to put that out.
Right.
I mean, come on.
They tried to say it was like many different things. I'm like, are they air?
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's. Oh yeah, let's do it's global warming that's causing your kid and everything else.
Right.
Vinny, she's Dr. Fowler's going to pop in any second.
Oh, awesome.
My son's the first string. We had our DNA tested after he was diagnosed with autism. So we had our DNA tested because I wanted to know if I was a carrier or not, so my other sons would know if they were carriers too. And the first string in his DNA or whatever, the first 2 chromosomes are doubled, where the rest of us aren't like that.
Guys, we happen to have Miss Fowler with us.
Hi, Miss Fowler.
That's called genetic modification.
Yes.
What do you think GMO stands for in your food?
Good evening, everyone. Peace and love, beautiful people.
Hey, Miss Fowler.
Good evening.
Hi, Dr. Fowler.
Good to see
Hi,
you.
everybody. God bless you all.
Same to you. Thank you.
You too.
It's good.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I'm praying
joining
for
us.
everyone and the children.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. How's your thing going? You having any luck?
Thank you. No. Well, maybe I am. I do believe that God is working it out. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Friday was the termination of, it was supposed to be the termination of parental rights hearing for my baby granddaughter. I understand from my attorney that my daughter didn't go to court, and they simply postponed the hearing again until January 27th.
Oh, wow. So I'm like with me, they wanted to go ahead and they would have had and pushed it through without me there, but I mean they didn't. But he was 18, so they couldn't. But they were going to do it with or without me. Like and with your daughter, I think about you all the time, Miss Fowler.
Against the Dr. Fowler than it is anything.
Right.
I think
she's
all time.
She's in my thoughts a lot. Like she's fighting, and she loves her grandbabies, and you know, and I know it's a lot. I know it is, and I just like you're a strong woman. I know that you're a strong woman, definitely, to be facing things like this. So just
does your daughter still retain the parental rights? Does she still have them?
As of now, yes, she does. Yes. The TPR hearing was scheduled for last Friday. She didn't appear, so they didn't go ahead with the termination of parental rights. By the way, also, I had filed see 3 components of the adoption myself, which was a termination of parental rights petition, a petition for the parents to voluntarily convey their rights to me, and the adoption petition.
Wow.
And my petitions are apparently not being heard.
Wow.
So, does your daughter want you to have the child or children?
Oh no, my daughter is vehemently, violently against me having the baby. That's the reason why I don't have her.
Okay. Okay. Well, then that explains a lot. Like I said, that you are subject to creating your own legal contracts that this court has to recognize, because understand that they can only do under contract law. So if you have certain situations, instead of involving the court, you can legally sign a document and have it validated, and notarized, so on and so forth, as a legal document that is signing over rights to parents. You don't even have to involve the courts. Matter of fact, it's a legal document once it's done, once it's entered in the court record. You don't have to have the court or even involve CPS if at any given time you wish to give up your rights. You don't have to report, because one, people are not property of the state, so you don't have to ask their permission. If you're giving it to somebody without their supervision, that's called private contract law. You can do the same thing actually for your child support on things. So if you make it part of your divorce decree and part of your outside, child support, you do your own personal and set your own guidelines. You are legally able to do that, believe it or not. But that's why prenups exist, because it's a pre-contract. They can't violate the contract law. Matter of fact, when your children are born, you can enter them into, say, a similar thing such as a trust, and then just have beneficiaries. That's one thing that a lot of people are not talking about. And when they're in trust, you own their social security number and everything else. The children cannot act on their own until they become of a certain age, as done by that trust. So trust law actually outweighs contract law. So a lot of people don't understand that, or have never been on that, is looking to put your kids in trust. They can't touch them because they need the permissions of the trustees.
Right.
And you can do whoever the trustee is, and to do that, that means the government would be interfering with private contract law, and that's illegal as shit. You trust me, that it has nothing to do with family member. They can cry family all they want to, in whatever court. You go right into the federal court. Your Honor, this has nothing to do with family law. This has to do with contract law.
Right.
They're trying to impose family law on contract law.
So guys, I'm gonna,
and you can't.
not to interrupt you guys, but I'm gonna have Carrie play something that I found today, and I want you guys to see this.
What'd you find, Carrie? Did you find a golden nugget?
All right. One second.
So,
just give me a second. I was typing a message. Sorry. Vinny threw me off. I wasn't ready.
You're talking about a video you shared with Vinny that you were going to post.
Yeah, I know. Here you go.
Darren dipped on us. He's just
Dr. Fowler, I remember you filed paperwork for the mundanus. How did that work out?
Well, thank you so much for asking. I did file a writ of mandamus requesting the federal.
Oh, cut out.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now we are experiencing a lot of technical difficulties due to the fact they hate the truth coming out. That's right. The curtain is coming back and they don't like it. So they're trying anything they can. They're doing backdoor deals, and it won't be long. Some of us just may, if you ever see me disappear or anything else, one of two things. One, this has quit working and I'm dead. Or number two, that all of a sudden that the government has just basically shut it down, or they've had court orders basically to remove you from social media. And they're working on it actively for quite a few of us, I've come to find out, because we broke the case and everything else, and we're just going back and fighting with anything that once we've revealed, especially with platforms I'm on like this. It's just like there's certain things they can do and other things they can't touch. Darren can tell him to go kiss his butt and go spit in the wind. For all he cares. It's freedom of speech. He's the moderator. He owns it. It's under Freedom of Information Act, and this is press. You can't touch it.
Y'all see the comment right there? Wait. There you go. Go ahead, Vinny. Go ahead, Vinny.
Is that why my landlord, a.k.a. the county prosecutor, sent police to try and force me to sign my rights away? I raised 2 to 18. Didn't know why they pretended to be my friends but spare me. That is called psychological warfare, Delight.
Welcome to my club.
That is, they are your best friend. They are going to sue you. That's kind of like, let's say, devil with the crossroads demon. As some of the stories you want to follow a crossroads demon story, please do, because you'll learn a lot about CPS.
They're very manipulative.
They will the sweetest thing in the world and think it's the best thing in the world, and they're going to convince you because they've convinced everybody out there they're there to protect the children. They're doing the right thing. They can do wrong and
but they don't.
else, and they're there to save people, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
One, if
Carrie,
it's not your fucking
coming on that, Carrie?
kid, forget it and leave me alone. If it's not your kid, leave me alone unless I've broken the law. There's my constitutional thing of the day.
How you coming over there, Carrie?
What, Vinny?
How you coming with that video?
It tells me it's sharing.
I don't see any smoke or fire yet.
I don't see it coming up.
Yeah,
I know.
Maybe the
I
main
can't find the
screen.
matches.
Oh, right there. I got it, Carrie. Hold on. Here you go. There we go. All right, I'm gonna shut the chat off for a second, guys, so we can have this come up on the screen.
Play. I see a screen.
Hey, look, there she is.
Reverse the way. She's on main screen. The other stuff's on the small screen. Reverse.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Hey, y'all. Hey. We look like the Brady Bunch. It's awesome. Except we don't have the other side.
Oh, sorry, Danielle. Didn't mean to hit that.
Oh, it's all good. I don't even know where I went. Look.
Yep, see?
Right,
I lost
Carrie,
everybody.
Pop that.
Good going, Vinny.
D-Light in our comments here, she's saying I'm autistic and never saw it coming. Ma'am, if that's the case, you have an appeal case for violation of your ADA.
Yep.
If you were given no ADA during your course and you
Gunner,
have a
here's the kicker there. Gunner, they won't help. They won't help. ADA won't help. The ADA won't help. I just tried that.
The point of ADA, it's a violation. It's a violation of these particular things. You didn't have that, and if you needed request of a power of attorney because of mental conditions, then they should have sent somebody in to protect your rights. That's the whole point. He's saying I didn't see it coming.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I just, yeah.
Now you're a landlord and county
I absolutely
prosecutor.
agree with you there.
If number one, there would be a conflict of interest there because you're county prosecutor, which is also your landlord. Those two roles can't cross paths.
Right.
Anything that's brought to a county prosecutor has to be brought by a third party or somebody else. Them prosecuting their own stuff, or sending other things up, or using their influence of their position as a county prosecutor to send police out to do something as a landlord, you're mixing roles. In other words, you didn't do this under your role or your hat of county prosecutor when you were on the clock. You did this in your own personal business world of your own personal thing. You have now crossed the line. That should have never happened, and that is a case for a federal case because they have abused their position. I got to go. They called about.
And also, couldn't you ask for a change of venue on that?
Danielle, good luck. In the private comments, Danielle says she's got to go. She got a call about her son. Hoping she's coming home, but she said she'll be right back. So good luck with that, Danielle. That's why she dipped.
So what you were just talking about, could you ask for a change of venue when there's a conflict like that? Like if you're in a small town, let's say it's the only VA that there is.
Jurisdiction because you're dealing with a constitutional right issue, or you're dealing with corruption. What you're doing with that would almost be considered, and they got to watch it, that they don't want is a RICO case. RICO cases are defined as two or more people that have devised a thing to come between you to violate your to violate the law and or your rights, have conspired to do this thing to do away with it. So as soon as you have RICO almost instantaneously. When you have a corrupt judge that didn't do anything, a CPS worker that has falsified claims and everything else, you've already met the RICO standard. It's just the amount of, you have to be able to prove it in a court of law. That's the argument of it. And when you have enough for that the judge has to see it through, the point is, that's why we tell people, go to the point when you're into collecting evidence, video evidence, paperwork, all these different things. All these things are things that are evidence that can be entered into a court to support your case. Hey, here's my video. Hey, here's my paperwork. Here's this, here's that. And they have to explain it. because it still comes on then. I have very little to prove. I can make a claim, but I can say that I have evidence. They will ask for discovery. They will do a special hearing for discovery. What evidence is it that you have? And go from there to even proceed with the case. That's why a lot of them have a preliminary trial. They'll have a preliminary trial to see whether or not the case has merit. And it has to get past those things. Sometimes you can just read through it. They can have a little argument and it goes back and forth on paperwork. Most of the time when you interact with the federal court to ask those constitutional questions, you're asking because the lower court doesn't have jurisdiction. I have constitutional rights questions that the lower courts don't have the authority to make a ruling on. Okay? You can quote case law all you want with it. The lower courts can abide by it or not. But when you involve the federal courts to answer the specific questions and don't put it on your current judge, which really doesn't have jurisdiction to do those things, where you feel they're not going to be fair or just, you call in the federal judge to answer the questions and basically give guidelines for the lower court to follow. And then they do what's called kicking the case back. They'll kick it back down to the case. Now, the state's going to be pissed as fuck. But if you've got them, you've got them. For example, it's how you word the questions to the judge that you want answers, that you tie the hands to the state. Let me give you an example. I had a case where you had a Fourth Amendment violation. They came in the home, no warrant, no things, anything like that. Was not even invited in, just came in. Okay. Testified on the stand, well, she gave me permission or I wasn't even here. Now understand this, I'm the sole homeowner. Okay, this was a premarital asset, was my home. I'm the sole owner of the home. She stays here under my guidance. She's not on anything. Okay. They said it come down to a he said, she said. The state worker said she invited me in. She turns around and says, no, I never invited you in. You let yourself in as I was dealing with my children. That's a Fourth Amendment violation. Now, under what's called the color of law, that's called fruit from a poisonous tree. In other words, any evidence you collect after that, or am I correct, Herbert, when I say this, any evidence a police officer or any state or government official, if you violate the constitutional rights, then it goes under fruit from a poisonous tree, and no evidence after that is able to be entered into a courtroom.
That's correct.
Okay. This
That's the same thing with that's the same thing with trials. When it's given to the jury, the jury has to make a decision based on the evidence at hand.
Yep. Not their own personal experiences, none of anything else, but based on the facts and the information they are given at that time. That's it. That's all they're supposed to do. A class action. Okay, we have a class action question. What if we did a class action suit? Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you. When you do a class action suit, the only people that generally tend to benefit are going to be the attorney. One, a class action suit requires an attorney. Okay, by that's just the standard. If you do a class action suit, you have to have a lawyer or or some sort of legal representation that has a federal license to practice in a federal courtroom. Okay, most attorneys that we talk about are family law attorneys only have a state license, which is why they're not representing you to the best of your ability because they can't go into a federal courtroom. So they're going to keep everything in state. Why? Because that's all the parameters they're allowed to do under their job or their license. They can't go to federal court. First thing I tell people to ask, if you're going to get an attorney, ask them if they can go to federal court. Then that's not the attorney for you. Why? Because they don't have the capability of taking things that need to go to the federal courtroom into the federal courtroom. Bottom line, that's what it comes down to.
Pardon me for interrupting, but it would seem to me that, and I'm not challenging you, but I would like to challenge those rules and just still file it. There's nothing to stop you from filing independent of an attorney.
No. Don't forget, you're also putting yourself in check because the second that you file this and you lose that case, it's over. You can no longer challenge ever again in any courtroom in any place in the United States.
Yeah.
You can no longer challenge the validity of your question or anything. So there's no more. It doesn't matter if you're trying to go overpower it with jurisdiction or anything. Once you lose this, it is over for that question.
Once the judge answers that question in your case, and here's the other thing, it's got pros and cons. One, it could not go the way you think it will under the law. But now this is why you have to be very sure when you put this forward of not just your questions, but quoting case law. And Darren, I want to get to with you one night, and we need to do a special on federal case law or case law in general on how to read it and how to understand it. I think that's going to help a lot of people out understanding when we're saying there's this case, and people go, I don't understand. Even lawyers, when you
apply it,
like
right?
NCC versus Jarsky, they're like, that has to do with Federal Trade Commission and everything else. No, if you're telling me that, that tells me you're an ignorant attorney, because that's not what it's about. Why? Because Roe versus Wade had nothing to do with abortion.
Correct.
What did it have to do with, Darren?
It had to do with your internal, your body being your own sanctity. It means the government cannot screw with your body. They weren't privileged to be able to invade your space, your privacy of your body, meaning like your pee, your blood, anything inside of your body. The contents of your body was still your own, and it was protected under the rights of search and seizure.
Yep. So
I would like to continue the conversation at a more appropriate time about the class action. I'll tell you why. Because I want to be defiant, and I just want to do it our way. And what I did with my writ of mandamus and my habeas corpus and everything else that I filed it to the best of my ability, and I let go and let God handle which way the gavel went, because at the very least, filing it documents what happened, and you win.
Yes.
If you file it, you win. No matter how the gavel goes. And if we are the people, we should be able to determine the rules.
So then just do it yourself.
Well, and that's the thing that we're going after, and I'm pushing to
just
finish
do it
that
yourself. Just file that
conversation.
same suit under your own name and move along.
You can do pro se and turn around and sue Judas, and to turn around and say that I am standing on myself as a competent, capable person, a lot of things. And in a federal courtroom, they're not going to ask you things. Do you do anything with the law or anything like that? I don't have to under the Constitution of federal court. I need to make my petitions known before the court. And matter of fact, I can request that the court uses common wording and common law to deal with these things, because constitutional law and a lot of those laws are common laws, or what they call common sense laws. Why they're passing it is just to differentiate, to basically shut a lot of people up. But when it comes to that, I would do a pro se, because you're going to give it its own twist, because each story is unique. This is what needs to get on the record, is enough cases, and that's the point of this, is to get enough cases out there with such diversity that it exposes all their tips, tricks, any little thing that happened in your case that they did based on your level of exposure, and put it on record of turning around and being illegal and unconstitutional. That's the beauty of what Chevron did. It was 40 years worth of stuff that they were able to come off the leash and do what they wanted as professionals under that wording of that doctrine. Is what it was saying is that SEC versus Chevron was saying the Chevron petroleum specialists had more jurisdiction or more knowledge to do it, to apply the law as they see fit. Every organization, after he put those words in print and it went on the summation of that court hearing, applied to everything, determined that way of saying, so if I just declare myself a professional, I don't have to take and follow the law, or I get to choose. That's exactly what that case said. That's why it was overturned with extreme prejudice.
Well, I want to answer this.
Constitutional.
I want to answer this question real quick that I see Darren put up here. Can you get the police records? Yes, you can. You have every right to them police records.
Yep.
Tell them out, man.
You need to subpoena the records from the court.
Parents' right.
What did you just say, Carrie?
I said FOIA request too.
Yeah, FOIA and subpoena. You can subpoena them too.
Yeah.
Right. Either or.
Al-Bay said something here about parental right contracts made outside the court can be made, but a court must approve this plan for all protections for parties, minors, and otherwise contracts not enforceable, recognizable to be enforced. That is not true under international contract law, because we can contract to do anything, whether it's legal or illegal. It's still held up in a court of law as being a contract, because our particular belief system, some contracts are derived under doing certain things. Like I said, contract law is a whole different thing itself, and you've got to get going on. As far as the trust cricket, doing it now to get your kids in, no, you have to be in full control, uncontested, anything else to get them in that trust. The faster you get them in that trust from birth, you can even put a trust and put it up before your child's born. and then automatically assume everything. You do not have to fill out the paperwork for a social security card or birth or anything else there. You can remove of saying, I do not wish to have those birth certificates or certificate of live birth. Why? The mother can do it. The mother can actually issue something from there. And here's the other rabbit hole. You ever wonder why they take and put your footprints of your baby on that birth certificate? Anybody know?
No.
Because then you're part of their contract.
Because you just gave evidence that the first thing out of the womb, they did not put their feet on soil, but on a piece of paper, making them a property of the corporation, and you allowed it. Hence, you just involved your children into contract law under the corporation. Oh, didn't know that. Did you know to be a living person, you have to put your feet in the soil upon birth? You can bring dirt with you and rub it on the baby's feet before the first thing of anything else on there. That is now a living person that has touched soil, American soil. You see how fast they made this stuff erode and the little tips and tricks? Well, if you come to our hospital, we have the insurance, we all the nice fancy things. So guess what? Now you got this proof. Why? Because they did that. That's why you're under maritime law. Because you put on that paper first before you did soil.
Albie, to answer Albie's question, you can have a attorney that is representing you sit second chair when you're doing pro se. You can make him sit second chair to you and only answer the important question.
Yes. Or they need to give you guidance of something here, and there within those particular things. It's still your choice as sitting first chair, whether or not you want to listen to that or you want to keep going on. Cricket, it's like I said, going through here, it's not too late. Yes, once you get control of them, yes, you can create these particular things. There's a lot of court stuff with it when you have to fight it, but understand it's a one and done thing because people are just not. They're not aware of where their rights are, and the courts have confused them. Well, we get away with this, and then we don't. Then this should hold up in federal court, right? That's where they fear. Is you going into a federal courtroom. Why? Because they don't give a shit about all that stuff. They're there to deal with this. And if you've broken the law, and understand this, the only people when the state comes up against it, understand that's the defendant, the only place you can seek it is not in your own courtroom or in their state courtroom, which is why they keep telling you, hey, just go ahead and file an appeal. Go ahead and file an appeal within the state, or this is that, but you don't have jurisdiction over it. You can't answer the questions. Well, why didn't my judge bump it up and this and that? Welcome to the sham of why they're all in on this together. Because yes, if a judge realizes in a state case that it's a federal issue that needs to be done, the judge has the ability to send it up or to stop the case of saying, guys, I need to stop. I have some constitutional questions before I can take and do this. And do you have any questions? And then he can open it up to both lawyers on both sides, both you and basically the other member of the state, to turn around and do it. But then we can all send our questions up to federal court and we can get better guidance. But our arrogance of your state, your state people is just not that. That's not the case. So why is that? Because they can get away with it and it's money. And they're so used to doing it, doesn't make it legal. Well, we've been doing this for 20 years. That doesn't mean it's right or legal. That's the thing that has come down now that we've gotten to that point. It's so far gone that there's a big need for correction to get back to the Constitution. Why? Over half of this crap that we're all dealing with, we shouldn't have to deal with living under the Constitution. Police, they don't exist. Those people work for the corporation, and I call them corporation because every city is a business. It has a Dun & Bradstreet number. It's a corporation. Go look it up. Go look at your city or township and go on Dun & Bradstreet. That's the credit bureau, kind of like we have 3 for what they call civilians. You can go look it up at Dun & Bradstreet, and it's free. Go type it in. You just got to know how they're listed. Under the Freedom of Information Act, do you realize you can take and contact your city or a government thing and ask them for their Dun & Bradstreet number? Oh!
Not even that. If you don't listen, you go ahead and just take your social security number and put it in on the
Trade Commission, International Trade Board.
Yeah, but what's the website that we use? I can't. Fidelity. Go to Fidelity.
Fidelity.
And then type in your social security number, all in one, no spaces. Just do 0.0, do zero space dot 0 You know what I mean? Your numbers have one a space in between them. Write that in there, and you'll come up with what supposedly. Now, all of this stuff, guys, is supposedly, we're not lawyers. This stuff is entertainment purposes. This is all this stuff. So you do the research yourself on all of this stuff. But
and understand, I can say what he's saying with that. It has been confirmed by several federal attorneys. This does exist, and they will show you. That's why they don't want them in the courtroom.
So just make sure you put your social in there with a 0 and then a space, and then the next number, a space, next number. And if you do that in Fidelity, it will come up with the trusts that you are involved with, supposedly, and where it's being traded, and how many times it's been traded, and so on and so forth. It's pretty amazing once you start getting going on now.
Now, Cricket asked whether or not you can change your social. No, but you can actually send it to where they're getting the profits from your social or trust fund. Yes, this does exist, and they do trade you because you're considered a commodity. You're considered a labor unit. That's why. And they put so much in there as collateral damage to say, if you don't take and this person doesn't produce X amount within their lifetime, you'll get compensated for it. It's like an insurance policy that the government took on you, but you're not the beneficiary till you take control of it. Some of the things that you'll look at, things like secured creditors and stuff like that. There's ways of doing it. And there's people that are digging this stuff up now. Just watch who you're taking and deal with on some of this stuff, because some of it's a scam. Others, they're using their own paperwork or their own forms and everything else that you can file these things against them.
There you go. Spaney answered it.
Yep. Pro se. That's right.
Hey, Spaney.
You think Collins considers sue jurists in courts and you have to speak totally different. That is correct. But you can request at any particular times. Anytime to go to a common language, a common law for all to understand, especially when you're representing yourself. That's something you just have to notify the court. The same thing with your ADA. When you first go in with a case, you can they actually have a form for ADA that has to be filled out. That you can fill out at the beginning of your case. Matter of fact, any interaction with them or anything like that, especially if you're arrested and you're going through this and that, they're supposed to ask you whether or not you have any medical conditions, as done by the ADA, to give you appropriate care and everything else for your medical needs. This is a big issue when you have people with Tourette's or autism, when they're not listening and they're not following your job. That's why you've seen stuff on social media to where a kid with autism had the crap beat out of him, that he was like 20-something years old, and the cops just would stop to question him of, hey, what are you doing out here? Wasn't committing a crime, wasn't bothering anybody. But then they grabbed him. He didn't know how to respond, wasn't very, he wasn't verbal very well, and they beat the hell out of him and put him in a car and everything else. And that was the thing of not following. That's why ADA is important within their training of saying we need to communicate. But we've moved from being peace officers to protect and serve into, to obey and slave. That's why a lot of people have gone with the defund the police, because it's not about a thin blue line. It's not about any of those other things. It's about what's right and wrong. It's either constitutional or it's not. And if you're there to help people, yes, punish the criminals. But at the same time, do it through a court, because that's why it says innocent until proven guilty. That's why these things exist, because we know the nature of people. Why? People lie. People give false information and all sorts of stuff all the time, but when the rubber meets the road and they have to bring it into court and swear under oath that it's true and everything else and other things, trust me, lies can destroy lives. Lies can destroy lives. It can destroy families.
Yep.
We've all gone through things. Everything from me to Vinny to Darren, lies. You know what started this? Lies. And somebody taking the perspective of a liar, rather than doing a proper investigation, a thorough investigation, and using some common sense, talking to people. I mean, in my particular case, that we tried to enter, for example, mental health records. And did you know the guardian ad litem for one of the kids there actually had it thrown out of the case? That would be, this is for the benefit of the children, right? And you're the guardian to protect them. Why didn't you go get those records? You're supposed to, under what you're supposed to do, right? Because I read your things, and guardian ad litem, you're supposed to pull medical records, psychological records, everything else, and do for the best benefit of the child. Did you do any of that?
You're supposed to talk to every single person that has ever been in contact with that child.
Yep. You're supposed to find out what's going on with that child and get that. That takes some time. That takes some investigation. It takes some talking to when you do it. But you also have to respect the rights of everybody else you talk to when you investigate. When you're impeding my investigation. Impeding an investigation is a secondary charge, not a primary.
Right. Okay.
Same way with a seatbelt. Well, I'm going to give you a seatbelt ticket. Okay, well, where's my primary? Because seatbelts, that's a traffic infraction or anything else. You're going to take it right for. But you're going to do this, or any traffic stop is not. There was another one that a case law come up that said that any traffic stop is not viable for an arrest.
Common sense did die.
Please explain DUIs if that's not legal to do. Because now we've got a whole bunch of problems when you start digging into federal case law and understanding what's actually law and rule. And then people are making up shit as they go, and they're calling it law, like states are calling it law. But it's not law. It's codes and statutes that they would like to see, but doesn't mean it's constitutional. But nobody cares. Why? Because we get to, how much do we make off that? How much traffic court make annually in your county? Anybody ask that?
Just to let you guys know, we're about at that time.
Hey, Freedom of Information Act, guess what? You can file for that. Did you know that? You can get their budget of how much they brought in last year, last quarter, the speeding tickets, and how much they totaled up to, and the percentages of judge, and the whole 9 yards. They are a public servant. When you become a public servant, you don't have privacy like you had, baby. That goes
all their information's out there. Even how much they make a year is out there.
Yep. You can go right to the police station, ask for a request of pictures, name, ranks, the day they started, everything else, and their pay scale of every officer in every police station across this country. Didn't realize you had that much power, did you? Welcome to understanding that contract that's called the Constitution says we the people. We the people are the government.
You can do that, but watch how long it takes for you to get the response.
True. You can do a lot of things. But once again, until the people come together, which is what they fear, and what are we dealing with now, Herbert? Division. They'll find in 20 different ways of division. The Constitution should be something we should all be going for, including police officers, federal agents, cops. It doesn't matter. That is supposed to be the one thing that is not compromisable, but it is.
You will come out quicker if there's an officer at your front door with CPS and you ask the officer for his name and shield number, he will give it to you.
Yes. They're required to by law.
And they will give it to you.
And
you can ask for his salary. He will refer you to human resources.
Yep. To the court
or to another division.
Yep.
And then you could wait. And wait.
You could get his whole jacket on how many write-ups he's had. It's not going to tell you about the write-ups, but it's going to tell you how many times he's been written up, whether it's been reprimanded, the whole 9 yards. You're a public servant.
Through
but they're not going to tell you.
Through the Freedom of Information Act, you can get that information. Yep. It would behoove you to have an attorney seek that information because they know the ins and outs and they'll know how to manipulate the police system to get it. But as a civilian, you can apply for it, but you're not going to get it as fast as an attorney will get it.
Listen, why do you think CPS wants to turn around and they want your everybody's you realize that's Social Security by asking for that? What's it tell you information with anyone? Anytime they file anything or anything else, it goes under your Social Security number. Look at Social Security fraud and look up some of those things. They don't have a right to that without permission. As soon as they apply, hey, we will give it up willingly. Well, here's my social. No. It says right on there, I'm not supposed to do that with anyone. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to protect it. Why? Because they know the value of it. It's printed right on that card. Do not share this with anyone. Why? Because that gives access to your personal information and who you are. You are not required.
It's only been within 10 years that they stopped putting social security numbers on Medicare, Medicaid cards.
Yeah. That information is shared. And here's the other thing. If you're watching your credit like they do, you realize when they're getting on, and I'll tell you one thing that just happened to have, because I monitor my personal credit very close. And as soon as CPS is kicked over to something for child support, boom, all of a sudden I'm getting flags on the dark internet of my social security number's been compromised. And nobody had that number. And yes, but believe it or not, that you can take and ask for a new social security number. If you can prove to them if your social security number has been compromised and used in actions that you don't feel appropriate, then yes, they can rename it and you have to file a form with the Social Security Administration. And the other thing is, Herbert, when a cop comes up and knocks on your doors, well, when I have a public posting of a sign of no trespassing, no warrant, no entry, everything else on there, that removes your right to even knock on the door as a police officer. That's called a public notice. So unless you come up to my door and you have a warrant or a court order, you're not even allowed to knock on my door because it's publicly posted. From the road, you can see it. And that holds up under the public postings of both state and federal thing. Right there.
Why don't more people? Why don't more people do that? Why don't more people put signs up on their property?
Well, here's my point, Herbert. Why should we? Public servants should know the hell out of my house.
You don't have a sign up. That's why
we're there. But it's not. Instead, they're teaching classes about how to coerce and gain entry on a national level. You've been to those training seminars, I'm sure, the national conventions, say for the police and or police and fire, that they do all their new equipment and all that other stuff. They have little seminars. Those are training modules that people are getting credit for, and they are literally doing. We found the evidence of that. They are training them to coerce their way in. And the class isn't called coerced entry. It's called how to deal with difficult people to enter a home or residence and how to gain entry when they're being non-compliant or defiant. There's a fucking class on that. That's for violating your Fourth Amendment right. And we allow this? And you want me to trust me to paid to protect and serve when they're being trained to violate my rights? Sorry, that's out the window.
You should have knowledge not to allow that to happen.
Your government, your local government allows it to happen because it takes and gives them power and money. The Constitution prohibits it, but nobody's doing nothing because we've been entertained. You've got new games, you've got the internet, you got things changing things. We're so distracted by everything around us, we've lost our rights, and we've allowed it to happen. And that's what is going to happen.
You're correct. You allowed it to happen.
So what do we do from here? Then we've tried the petition.
You have to educate. You have to educate people. And get people to understand, just because a police officer, first of all, I don't think police officers should speak at all when they're with a CPS personnel going to a door. That's not their place to speak. Let the CPS person speak.
Well, here's my response. If the FBI is returning things in, if they're saying it's a civil matter and they don't get involved in civil matters unless it's a criminal action and it's proven in a civil court, which is what the FBI is telling people, they comply with action is telling them, just get on their radar, and they come back to them as solidifying, look, my initial, the point is we're trying to prove your initial report showed that there was something there. Now I followed up with a federal civil case. I won my federal civil case. And now I'm going back to the FBI. Look, I won my case, and now I want criminal action. And they will take it over all day. They will go before a grand jury. That's exactly what they told me. As soon as they have that, they'll go before a grand jury, and they'll get that indictment. And then they'll go arresting people. Because that's the way it works. That's why we're telling you, do it, win your case, then hold them accountable. Yes, it's a process. But until we get enough red flag raised out there to say this is going on, they're going to do something about it. But everybody's worn out and they're playing psychological warfare, and people feel defeated. and they're scared after they get in contact with CPS. They're
I have it all
scared.
set up. There we go. Did we lose echo?
Yeah, I think so. Is that better?
Herbert, you're back.
I think Vinny's got it now, in case of the
Sorry
echo.
about that. Oh man, what a good night. All right, guys. What do you think? Ready to wrap? I saw I left abruptly. My cat was choking. So I had to go give it the Heim cat maneuver. So
the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah. First stage. I opened the door, and there were 5 cops pointing guns at me, screaming, "I'm lying about PTSD, and I'm a bully who should do something right and sign my rights away." I'm still terrified. CPS came to my 4 months later. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, Cricket, we're getting a lot of responses similar to what I just said from the FBI guy, is basically take the civil case, take it to a federal courtroom because it's a federal matter. That's why FBI gets involved. They're a division of the Department of Justice. They don't do anything independent. They are not like your local police department. FBI is structured different. They're going to go off of basically the things they handle right away are basically domestic issues that are terrorism, so on and so forth. They do. That's their major priority as things federal. As far as these other things, unless somebody's actually, and they even put in that letter, unless somebody's been harmed, like physically harmed is what they're saying. That's where they're drawing the line, or died or something like that. That's when they'll get involved. Otherwise, the protocol is go through the civil courtroom, prove it in a civil courtroom. They'll use that evidence to get the indictments for FBI, for the Department of Justice, but you have to walk across the street, which is why we're telling you get in contact with FBI as soon as you got your civil case filed, and they're going to watch it. And as soon as it comes down, one, they're not going to be proactive. The only person that can do anything is you. So you have got to stay on top of this. Don't trust anybody to handle your affairs. Let's just keep it real simple. As soon as you get that, you go back to the FBI and say, "Hey, I'm the one that hit over here. Yeah, I seen your email. Hey, I won my civil case. This is my case number. You need to go back and look at the evidence, and you need to do indictments because I want to press federal charges of this, and that, and anything else you can add." That's how you do it. Then they will go and investigate using your evidence to do their own investigation to start. That's why you say including everything else. They're not just going to go, "We're just going to take the evidence and we'll just take it to court." No, they will open a case and dive further because you're going to say things like, "Look, they're all in it together." You know what they want the most, FBI? RICO cases. That's what they want. Those are big ticket items for them. If you're talking full exposure, that's why we're telling you guys, get this out there. Why? This is why. This is how you file. This is how you do it. As we learn, we share with you guys. But once again, you got to watch, what they're doing, and they're doing this under the guise of hanging out in the family court. You're telling me you get away with registering weapons and having a gun registry for CPS state by state, and you want to make it national? I thought gun registries were illegal. They are under federal constitution. Then why is CPS doing it? Nobody can answer me that. Why does it matter if I have guns? It ain't none of your damn business. Welcome to my Second Amendment. You don't have a right to know anything in my house. You want to get into my house, my home, and evaluate? No. Unless you can prove a good reason to come in and see that I've got something or something I'm not taking care of, that's what the warrant's for. I ain't your buddy. I ain't your friend, no matter how much a CPS worker wants to play that role, like we've heard. I'm sorry, it's still illegal entry because the federal case law says so. You don't like it? Wait till it comes around and you lose everything. Then you're going to know what it feels like. Because that day and that reckoning is coming right around the corner.
All right, guys, you want to do last words?
Choose the last words.
I guess I'll go first. If you don't like it, you don't like what we're saying.
Hold on.
Where we at?
Herbert's got some feedback here. Hold on, but you got to get it in there. I'm going to mute you, Herbert. Let's clear up. Okay, go ahead.
Last words. 1, educate yourself. Gain the knowledge. Be your own advocate. Take things to where you can do pro se. Work with people like us that we're willing to help you. There's no cost to it. Point you in the right direction, but you're still going to have to do the work yourself. Know your rights. Tell them to piss off. Unfortunately, yeah, you've got to make it clear and abundant, and nobody is going to understand or know the Constitution. But when you do, you're a lot better person, and you are a true American that way. and learn how to fight and fight the right way. But let's hold them accountable. And when it goes back to class action versus pro se, take it on your own. Take it on your own and expose the hell out of them. But I'll guarantee you one thing, that they're going to come to you if you do have it. They're going to negotiate with you with a do not disclosure agreement with a fat check when you got them. Do not take that check. Do not negotiate with domestic terrorists. Because by the domestic terrorism definition, under the FBI, CPS fits it. I want you to look that up too. Tell me that they don't fit it with your experience. Be blessed, stay safe, and do your best to piss somebody off at least once a day with some truth and knowledge.
Exactly.
Hey, Fowler, I see you still here. Do you want to do the last word? Where's she going now? She is gone.
Yeah, she's gone.
All right. Herbert, on to you, buddy. Here we go. Hold on. He's down there.
I got him.
There you
go. Okay, am I unmuted?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't allow CPS into your home unless they have a warrant or good reason for coming in your house. And don't be intimidated by the police officer, because he's not going to arrest you. He's just there to make sure that there's no confrontation between you and the parents.
Okay. Let's see. Gary.
Nobody knows your case better than you. So why not you fight it? That's it.
That's right.
Oh, my turn.
It's like that old song, Mama Said Knock You Out.
Oh, right. Good one. I like that.
Thank you all for being a part of the show with all of us. We appreciate having you all here talking, sharing, and listening to what we have to say and share to you guys. Keep me in your thoughts tomorrow, where I am going to court for my sanction hearing. So, good thoughts, hopefully.
Got you, Vinny.
And keep in mind, tomorrow night we have the Tip and Punisher show at 7 o'clock, which is going to be Darren and Mr. Gunner tomorrow night. So check them out. And then we have, of course, the CPS Victims Hunting Justice at 9 o'clock. So make sure you are here for that as well. And check out Darren's book on Amazon. Yes. Stay calm, CPS is coming.
Right. And any person that buys, sorry to interrupt you, Vinny. Don't forget, any person that buys it from now to Christmas, we're donating the profits of that to some funds in North Carolina that Danielle chooses.
Hey, Darren, I want to address one more thing that's in our comments. Eye Candy Mandy, my heart goes out to you, and let me address one thing. I know you almost killed yourself. A lot of parents go through, but listen to me. Anybody out there that's struggling with suicide over this particular thing, please reach out, even if it's to one of us or anything at any time, or somebody else that you trust, that it's not worth it, and understand this fight is not over. There is hope, but it is going to take time, and understand it does suck, but understand there are many that have gone through what you've gone through and even worse. And that's the thing I'm going to tell you, just from hearing multiple stories all across this country. When you think one's just so bad, another one right around the corner is about 5 times to 100 times worse. But just stick in there. Trust me. Be there for other people. Listen, you're not alone. There's the first thing when it comes down to that. When you have those thoughts, you're not alone. Everybody on here has gone through and has been touched by this evil, and this is pure evil. Please understand that. But if any of you out there, if you know anybody that's going to it and having, or you're seeing those signs, please get them help or be their support system for them. That's all I'm going to say on that.
We got the email right up here, so anyone can reach out to us, and if you even need someone to talk to, there's the email right there.
Darren's got all of our info up here for everybody in here if you need that.
And there's a lot of us here.
Yeah,
you get a pick from all different personalities.
And listen, that is part of their psychological warfare, to make you think you are alone, and you're not. At the same time, or how not to fight, because that's just what they want. They want somebody to roll over and do as you're told. That's not the way this works in this country. And understand, you've been done wrong, but please, for the love of everything out there, and even for your own children, don't. Is all I'm going to say. Please don't. Because one day you may be able to, even after they're 18, reconnect. if that's the worst case scenario, and then have a conversation with them, and then you have a case, because then they can testify what they went through. So understand, it's not the end. Please don't, is all I'm going to say.
Right.
And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna hinge off of that one. If you are,
and no, I thank you, Mandy, for please bringing that up. I do appreciate that, because we need to hear real shit like that on the show, because that keeps it real. Okay.
Right.
Please don't apologize. So please, this is real, and everybody through here that's been here, we've had some not so pleasant thoughts on a lot of things. Trust me. But please keep up that fight. Don't give up. And like I said, worst case, they turn 18, you can reconnect, and there ain't a damn thing anybody can do about it.
Yeah. So,
sorry, Darren. I just felt that.
We all agree. Yeah, no worries. Not at all. No, it's true. So, like, I'm gonna tag off of that stuff right there. If you are an SRA or a Ultra or any of that type of survivor, we're starting to do those things to counsel those people. So, if you are that, reach out and we can help you with that. And it is the holiday times, and I was going to play the song anyway, but for Kingy Mandy, this one will be just for you for tonight. So I am the CPS Punisher, and we are out of here. See you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, doing the same stuff, helping everybody out. Have a good night.
Benny, you want to put together an after show and get everybody going?
Do it.
Do it, Benny. You can host.
I'll be running in late.
Good. I'm happy for you, Mandy. I'm glad you got him back, girl. But I appreciate you sharing that, because that is something real that we really need to address too. I think a little bit more, Darren, is a little bit in every show, is that suicide awareness that does come with this. Because a lot of people want to keep posted. They give up the battle, man. We don't. Peace. Stay strong. I do that? I'm going with you, right?
Thank you.